Many people have a phobia of public speaking. Jerry Seinfeld put it this way: according to my studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Death is number two. Does that sound right? This means to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you are better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. Even though public speaking can be scary, it is possible to succeed in spite of these fears by learning public speaking skill. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to public speaking class. First of all, I would like to thank you very much, especially to our God who has given us some mercy and blessings, so that we are in good condition and happy situations. Secondly, may salawat and salam be with our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from the darkness to the lightness in this world as well as in the next world. The Honorable Sir Dr. Udi Samanhudi MPD, and all of my friends whom I love, let me introduce our group. We are from 7 groups of 3A English Department at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, Banten. I am Zumrotul Marhamah as the first presenter. Then Fahri Ahmad Husaini as the second presenter. Then Eka Wahyu Setiawan as the third presenter. And the last presenter is Juwita Melinda Bauty. Well, in this video, we would like to present about tips learning public speaking. But before we talk about the tips, I want to explain more about the public speaking first. If you've been asked to give a public speech, you may wonder, what is public speaking and why is public speaking important? Those questions are quite logical if you've never thought much about public speaking before. But as students, we should have public speaking skill. So, what is public speaking and why it is important to learn? This is the answer. Public speaking is the process of deciding and delivering a message to a public audience. All speeches contain at least 3 parts: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. In the introduction, you state the topic of your speech. You tell the audience the main points of your speech. In other words, you say what you are going to speak about. In the body, you speak about each point in detail. For each point, you must give the audience some evidence or information that will help explain and support each point. In the conclusion, you should summarize the main points of your speech and emphasize what you want the audience to remember. Effective public speaking involves understanding your audience and speaking goals, choosing elements for the speech that will engage your audience with your topic, and delivering your message skillfully. Effective public speakers understand that they must plan, organize, and revise their material before speaking. So, why is public speaking important? The reason is that everyone encounters a situation where public speaking skills are necessary. It could be at work, school, or in our personal life. Public speaking skills are one of the most crucial skills we learn, as they allow us to communicate with others and express our thoughts and feelings. Speaking skills can be split into formal and informal speaking skills, and we use both types of speaking skills in a variety of contexts throughout our life. Informal speaking skills are important for conversations with friends and family, helping us to form emotional connections. Formal speech, on the other hand, is necessary for workplace, in presentations, or for conversation with people you don't know. Formal language is important as it helps us to make a good impression on people and communicate politely. Public speaking typically serves 3 general purposes: to inform, persuade, or entertain. First, informative speech. This type of speaking is the most common and happens to most people daily. The purpose of this type is to share ideas with the audience, increase their understanding, change their perception, or help them gain new skills. This can be academic or professional knowledge, but can also be to report your progress on a project or tell someone how to use something. The second, persuasive speech. Persuasive public speaking is a very valuable skill to have. The purpose of this type is to convince the audience and persuade them to agree with your point of view. This can be in a debate or formal speech, but can also be minor persuasion such as going to a place you choose for lunch, etc. The third, entertaining speech. Public speaking for entertainment is used for award ceremonies, wedding speeches, comedy sketches, poetry reading, and much more. The purpose of this type of public speaking is to entertain the audience instead of merely informing. Then there are some benefits of public speaking, include building self-esteem, honing critical thinking skills, presenter networking opportunities. If you ask most people, they will probably say they don't like public speaking. They may even admit to being afraid of it since fear of public speaking is a very common fear. Or they might just be shy or introverted. For those reasons, many people avoid speaking in public if they can. Such people need to realize that they are not the only ones who may be going through these emotions. In fact, almost every speaker feels the same. It is important that people consciously realize the fact that there are more nervous speakers in the world than those who are not. The truth is that speaking in public is a skill, and you can learn any skill. While some people may have more natural speaking ability than others, anyone can learn to be a better at public speaking. It just takes some know-how and some efforts. Over the years, public speaking in communication has played a major role in education, government, and business. Words have the power to inform, persuade, educate, and even entertain. And the spoken word can be even more powerful than the written words in the hands of the red speakers. Based on papers that we read, the need of public speaking skill is on the rise as well because as individuals excel in their career, they are more likely to present and speak in meetings, seminars, and conferences and give their opinion regarding the issues in hand. However, due to public speaking anxiety, some people become restless and face sleeping disorders when they have to speak in front of an audience. Many authors have researched on the cause and reasons behind public speaking anxiety and have come with numerous tips and strategies to deal with such situation and to overcome this fear. Alright, other presenter will be give to you all the tips learning public speaking. Well, that's all from me. If I do some mistakes, forgive me please. Then will be continue by Fahri Ahmad Husaini as the second presenter. Fahri Ahmad Husaini, mic is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fahri Ahmad Husaini, and now I will explain about the tips of public speaking. Speaking is conveying something to another person in spoken language. Education, work, and other fields needed to communicate. Everyone needs to have good communication skills. Public speaking requires a lot of courage, and some people have high fears and are scarier than anything. This is a psychological problem, and actually, fear can be easily overcome. Public speaking skills are now increasing, due to careers that require some of those who work in certain fields to be more inclined to attend and speak at meetings, conferences, and seminars in discussing the problems at hand. It turns out that there are things that are very disturbing when speaking in public, such as the emergence of anxiety disorders in public speaking. When tomorrow they need to speak in public, some people experience anxiety and sleep disturbances because they keep thinking about having to speak in front of audience. There are many causes and reasons for public speaking anxiety that everyone experiences, and many have suggested tips and strategies for dealing with situations, overcoming that fear. Whatever the method for dealing with public speaking anxiety, this skill must be learned in school. To overcome the fear of public speaking, skills training is needed to speak before making a presentation or speech so that people with public speaking anxiety can perform well in public speaking. The following are some tips that help speakers connect with their audiences and become motivational speakers. The audience will also eventually be interested in the speech and will help the speaker to feel comfortable while speaking. Some simple tips that can improve your public speaking skills: to speak firmly, fluently, and convincingly. Tips are as follows. Be passionate about a subject. Do not accept an invitation to speak if you don't know and are interested in the topic. Speak if you don't know and are interested in the topic. It is significantly more difficult to talk about a topic you know little about than a topic you know and preferably are passionate about. Being passionate about the topic also helps to overcome any nervousness you might have. That way, you can objectively assess your interest and experience in the topic. Other commitments: the time and effort required to prepare this speech and whether it is a good investment of your time. If you decide it is not a topic for you, you can suggest other people who might be good speakers on the topic, or you can suggest other topics that you are happy to talk about. And then allow sufficient time to prepare your presentation. To prepare for a presentation, you need time to review the literature, reflect on your own experiences, discuss the topic with others, organize, write, refine, and practice your speech, and develop creative visual aids. All of this takes time. How much time? This varies depending on the topic, the length of the presentation, and your knowledge about the topic and experience in public speaking. It's not uncommon to spend 100 hours preparing a 1 hour presentation. It is important to do well in every presentation. Giving a good presentation opens doors that would otherwise be closed. Promotions, writing opportunities, speaking engagements, appointments to important organizations and committees, and improvements in patient care can result from an effective presentation. So do not get back into the corner with insufficient time to prepare an effective speech. If you do not have time to do a good job, say no thanks. And then the next tips: have backup power. Ideally, you should have 2 to 4 times the material will be presented. This provides backup power. Backup power gives you confidence that you know the material, allows you to fully answer the questions, and also expands the material if the group is knowledgeable about the topic and move quickly, or if at the last minute you are given more time. And then write your speech. Writing your speech helps crystallize your ideas, organize your thinking, and identify gaps in logic and substance. Having a written speech is invaluable when you are invited to speak on the on the same subject months later. You can quickly refresh your memory and be ready to make changes to adapt your presentation to the new audience. Writing your speech also facilitates the conversion of your presentation into a publication. Many presentations should, but often don't, be turned into publications. A presentation can be a powerful publication if the presenter uses comments and questions from the audience to streamline, prioritize, and clarify content. And then next, use speech notes. Even if you write your speech, you do not have to take it to the podium. Instead, it is best to bring a brief speech note. If you take your full notes, people will not hear you. And next, use speech notes. Even if you write your speech, you do not have to take it to the podium. Instead, it is best to bring a brief speech note and wear boots and spurs to the podium, not sandals. The speaker should not speak from the top of his head, but from the bottom of his heart. I learned how to speak in public, just as I learned to skate, by diligently making my own tools until I got used to it. It's the easy and painless way to become a presenter, the good one. The following techniques can help students overcome public speaking anxiety. First, better preparation and understanding of the topic eliminates the possibility of making mistakes or getting off track during public speaking activities. Second, a moment of silence is nothing to be afraid of. If a speaker loses track of what they are saying or start to get nervous, chances are the audience will not mind pausing to consider what the speaker has said. It is very important to focus on the material, not the audience, because people are primarily concerned with the information presented. Make sure you greet the audience in the room before speaking. It is important whether you know your audience is engaged. Shake people's hand when you talk to a lot of people. If the crowd is small, take the time to approach everyone one at a time. This will help you and your audience feel more comfortable. Then give people a smile and a handshake when you enter the room. The audience will surely show good appreciation if you have a good attitude. Practice is the best method for learning what you are going to say. You should try practicing in front of a mirror or recording your own speech to know and see yourself during speech practice. Learn the proper use of whatever visual aids you use. Get an idea of how far eye contact is with your audience too. You have to practice speaking as often as possible because it will make you an expert and will give you confidence because you will know what your weaknesses are like. Even if your speech is already in memory, take some notes with you on stage. You have to make the speech memorable if you want it to be remembered by people. At the end of the speech is what people remember. Otherwise, boring ending will not help your speech quickly. Give the audience a chance if they are going to ask. Do not make people wait until your speech is finished. They may be at loss for words for what they want to ask. You will be appreciated by your audience if they can ask questions as they arise. Never give a speech giving impromptu words. Deliver the speech you plan. During the speech, you might forget a very important thing that you want to convey. Grab right away quickly what zone that makes you right. If you feel nervous, that's perfectly normal. Speed is also very important when you are making important considerations in any speech. Study the behavior of some of the world's public speakers. You will learn a lot by watching world public video speakers and other talented speakers. Try to learn exactly what makes them so attractive. Pay attention to their habits in public speaking. Learn the conversational methods they use to be effective in public speaking. Avoid speaking too informally with members of your audience. Those are the tips that you can learn and use as best as you can. Practice will make perfect, and you will eventually be able to build confidence during your speech. Thank you. That's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Eka Wahyu Setiawan. I will continue the material that Fahri previously discussed about tips to improve public speaking. Okay, for the next tip is that we have to practice until our material is cold. The meaning of the word cold is that we really understand our nature material. Practice is the key to everything if we want to be successful. Whatever the field, practice is our way of avoiding bad things. Why did it happen? By practicing, we can avoid bad things because we have experienced them when we are practicing. So, we can avoid common problems because we already know what to do to avoid these problems. Usually, great speakers will practice for a few days before it's time to stage. In addition to practicing speaking, he also practiced to cool or digest the material that had been made previously. It is also intended that he can improvise with the material. For the next material is never read or memorize a speech. Good speech is a situation where the atmosphere between the speaker and the audience is connected to each other. The way to make the audience feel comfortable when we speak is to create a speech atmosphere that is not monotonous. Usually, this is because the speaker is to fixate on the text so that he is unable to improvise when speaking in public. We often experience situations where we feel bored when listening to people who are talking, but he speaks relying on the text he is holding or talking like someone memorizing material. It is as if the speaker is speaking only to the extent of aborting his obligations without caring whether the audience understands or not. If we are forced to read or memorize the material we want to bring, use an elegant way, like by reading or memorizing the points we want to talk about with things the audience doesn't realize, like pretending to look at the clock or scratching our face. We can do this to see the small notes we have made. For the next material is speak in conversational tone. As previously explained, creating an atmosphere between the speaker and audience is very important. Don't let the audience feel bored because of our monotonous nature. Another way to create a comfortable atmosphere between the audience and the speaker is that we as speakers must speak as we talk to our peers every day. As much as possible, do not create a distance between the audience and the speakers so the audience feel comfortable because they feel that they are talking to their everyday friends. I have simple tips so that our voice can be considered as our everyday voice, namely by using a microphone with a large volume that can be heard clearly where we speak. It also aims so that we do not create the impression that we are speaking by shouting because of the small sound of our microphone. The next material is to use eye contact. When we are speaking in public, we must occasionally look the audience in the eye. In addition to establishing contact with the audience, eye contact also has another purpose, namely to make audience more responsive or respectful to us. The example is when we feel bored with a speech that is being delivered by another person, then the speaker suddenly looks at us or make eye contact with us. So, indirectly, it can make us not bored and make us more focused to pay attention to it. The way to make eye contact with good audience is that we randomly for about 1 or 2 seconds. Don't make eye contact for too long with the audience because we might lose our concentration. The next is we must include stories or jokes related to our material. To avoid monotone, we must include stories or jokes when speaking. In addition to entertaining the audience, telling stories is also a way for us to provide concrete evidence of what we are talking about. The next material is that we have to involve the audience while we are talking. Passive atmosphere can give to boredom in the eyes of the audience. Use multiple ways to get audience feedback, like you can use a question and answer discussion approach, or you can ask for raise hand in response to a question, or you can also ask rhetorical question, pause and then answer the question. We can do this to avoid boredom from the audience toward us. In addition, by communicating with the audience, we can get more attention from them. The next tip is that we must have a strong introduction and conclusion. The opening and closing are probably the most important parts of any presentation or speech. Take the extra time to develop this. You can start by telling a touching personal story, making controversial statement, or stating the surprising fact or statistic. Then, in the body of your presentation, create an introduction. Don't use phrase in conclusion or and finally, unless you will stop. Close your conversation with an important idea and explain that you are done. The next material is that we have to arrange the ideas that we have in a logical order. If we use this way, we can attract the attention of the audience. We must make the ideas in a logical order so that the audience can be interested and understand the ideas that we present. Because if we don't do that, the audience will feel confused with our material, so they will feel bored with us. We have to arrange the material from the very simple to the complex. This can help the audience follow the material that you explain. My last material is eliminate bad habits and distraction. Avoid non-words like and use repetitive phrase and words like you know and indeed. The repetition of any sound or word becomes annoying from listeners who often end up counting or indeed instead of paying attention to what you are saying. Okay, maybe those are tips from me. The next material will be continued by Juwita.
Okay, so the next tips for you, the number 15 tips is to not hide behind the lectern. When you are behind the lectern and all the audience see is a talking head, it is tough to develop connection. For at least part of your presentation come out from behind the lectern. If you are short, stand on a briefcase or stool so that your shoulders are visible at the very least. It's difficult to be effective when you can see your audience and your audience can see you. The next tip is the number 16. Use visual aids. Most of us are visual learners. 75% of what we know comes to us through our eyes, 13% through our ears, and 12% through our sense of smell, touch, and taste. One sight is better than 100 times telling about, as an old Japanese proverb goes. The lesson is clear. Employ visual aids to maximize effect. Include a graphic for each key piece of content. Include light thoughts, images like cartoon and picture, as well as word visuals. The visual assists the listener in comprehending and remembering the information. They also serve as cues for the speaker. You will rarely need to refer to your notes if you have no graphics. Next tip is the number 17. Select the most appropriate visual aids. For example, overhead are perfect for informal small group presentation. When using an overhead projector, you can keep the room lighter than when using slides, allowing you to retain greater eye contact, and you can conceal topics that you are not ready to discuss. For all formal presentations, slides should be used. Next tip is the number 18. Assure effectiveness of visual aids that cannot be read and understood by every member of audience are ineffective and frustrate and irritate the audience. The following tips will ensure that your graphics are effective. First, keep visual simple. Second, use word and phrase rather than full sentence. Third, choose color. 4. Choose large, simple print. Number 5 is avoid using all capitals because it is harder to read all capitals rather than upper and lower case letters. Number 6 is follow the 5 multiple 7 rule for slides. Is have no more than 5 words in the title, no more than 7 words in width, and no more than 7 lines in height. Next tips, is number 19. Avoid splitting the audience attention. Congruent oral and visual messages are the most effective way to communicate information. The least effective strategy is to divide the audience attention by delivering different audio and visual signals. You can divide the audience attention in a variety of ways. If the slide being shown is about something other than what you're talking about, you are divided the audience focus and weakened your message. If you over a list of 5 interventions and only address the first one, you have divided the audience attention because They are reading the complete list while you discuss the number one. Handouts might divert audience member attention away from you if they are reading the handout rather than paying attention to you. For example, using a lovely flower or seascape slide instead of a content or blank slide divide the audience attention. The audience is maybe thinking, I wonder what type of flower that is, rather than listening your presentation, or I wonder if that picture was taken in the British Plain Islands. So, rather than distracting from the auditory material, make sure your image support and improve it. Class tips is number 20 is finish on time. People will stop listening to your presentation when your time is up. No matter how energetic you are, even if you receive a late start because registration took longer than intended, or because a previous speaker ran over time, going over your time limit is impolite to both the audience and the following speaker. To keep under the time limit, you must be able to quickly cut or extend your content. To do so, you must be familiar with your material and select ahead of time which high priority content you will definitely address and which lower priority content you may leave and which amplification content you can add. In order to prepare the proper quantity of content for the time constraint, you must determine your practice speech to real speech time ratio. You may find that you need more time for real speech than for practice speech because adrenaline flows during the real speech and you tend to athlete and elaborate on issues. In this scenario, 45 minutes practice speech time equals an hour of actual speech time. Alternatively, you may discover that you talk more slowly during the practice session than you do during the actual speech, necessitating a 15-hour practice speech time for an hour presentation. To complete on time, you need to wear a watch or be able to see a clock. It is acceptable to glance at your watch during your presentation. In fact, the audience appreciates seeing this since it reassures them that you're aware of the times. The ability to finish on time and with elegance is a sign of skilled speaker. Rushing is counterproductive since the presentation loses its punch. Laboring points and filling time are useless and no listener. As a result, good time management is a top responsibility for all speakers. So, based on the result of the presentation, on the concept and methods for overcoming public speaking problems, as well as the highlight of our topic is 20 tips to improve public speaking. The conclusion is that each individual must understand how best to do public speaking, especially beginners who do not understand how to do public speaking, how they are raised, the challenge they will experience, and how they will overcome those challenges. Remember that understanding the fundamental of public speaking is critical. Public speaking, as my friend have previously said, is how we connect with the audience. and the audience must or can accept and agree with what we say. Some of the action or attitude of presenter are not prepared or unsuccessful in public speaking include failing to properly arrange the content, failing to make eye contact with the audience, and failing to eliminate undesirable habits in speaking such as employing close gesture. This will completely derail the presentation. There is also a tendency for presenters to become so concentrated on what they are saying that they forget to interact with the audience. As a result, we've compiled a list of 20 suggestions to help you enhance your public speaking. You may improve your public speaking skills and assist speakers build their speaking skills to look like a professional speaker by employing these 20 yet effective tips. So let us begin to be active in public speaking and believe in ourselves that we can conquer all of the obstacles that stand in our way. I believe that conclude our speech for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen this. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.